My unfaithful wife thought I was just an ordinary man, unaware of my past as a Marine sniper and current role as a CIA operative. But when I overheard her plotting my murder, she had no idea she was the one being hunted. Hello, Reddit talkative here. I'll never forget the moment I realized my wife wanted me dead. It was late, and I had just gotten home from a classified operation overseas. The exhaustion of a 16-hour flight sat heavy in my bones, but I moved silently as always, a habit honed from years as a Marine sniper and sharpened even further in my current life as a CIA operative. I wasn't supposed to be home for another 2 days, and that's when I heard her voice, low, urgent, and unmistakably guilty. "I don't care how you do it," she hissed into the phone. "Just make sure it looks like an accident. He's too careful, he'll see it coming if you're sloppy." I froze in the hallway, my heartbeat slowing instead of speeding up. That was the kind of control I had mastered over years of surviving in the world's deadliest places. She was trying to have me killed, and she had no idea who she was dealing with. I stayed quiet, listening. She mentioned a name, Victor, and the word confirmed the money's wired. My wife Olivia had always been good at hiding things. She played the role of a devoted spouse so well, I had never suspected a thing. But now, I saw her for what she truly was. A snake in my home. I slipped into the shadows, retreating without a sound. Letting her think she had won was the best move I could make. Because now, the hunt had begun. Over the next 24 hours, I did what I did best. Gathered intel, stayed invisible, and prepared my trap. I accessed Olivia's messages, decrypted her deleted texts, and traced the payment she had sent to Victor Mendoza, a known contract killer. The man had a reputation for brutal efficiency, but against me, he was nothing more than prey. I sent a simple message from Olivia's phone to Victor. "Meet me at the cabin." No mistakes. The cabin in question was our lake house deep in the woods, isolated. A perfect place for a murder. Or in this case, a perfect place to turn the tables. I drove to the cabin under the cover of darkness, setting up tripwires, escape routes, and ensuring every vantage point favored me. The snow-covered landscape worked to my advantage. I could track movements easily. Then, I waited. Just after midnight, a black SUV rumbled up the snow-lined path. Victor stepped out, a towering man with cold eyes and a silenced pistol. A second figure followed, Olivia. She wanted to watch. The betrayal cut deep, but I had work to do. Victor moved first, gun raised, moving toward the house where I had left the door slightly ajar. Predictable. Amateur. He stepped inside, and in one swift motion, I dropped from the rafters, my knife slicing across his throat before he could react. The silencer on his gun barely muffled the gurgled choke as he collapsed. Olivia stood frozen on the porch, shock painting her face. "You should have checked who you were dealing with," I said, stepping into the dim porch light, blood still dripping from my blade. She stumbled back, terror finally dawning. How? Did you really think I was just some ordinary husband?" Her hands trembled as she reached for her phone, likely to call for help. I shot forward, knocking it from her grasp, before gripping her wrist hard enough to make her gasp. "Tell me why," I demanded, voice calm, controlled. Tears welled in her eyes, but I saw no regret, only fear. "You were in the way." I felt a slow, bitter smile creep onto my lips. "Not anymore." I left no traces. Victor's body vanished, his car torched. Olivia? I gave her a choice. A life spent running, knowing I could find her anytime, anywhere. Or she could face what she had tried to do to me. She ran. But no matter where she went, I made sure she never felt safe again. Because once you become the target of a hunter like me, you never stop being hunted. Olivia disappeared into the night, but I knew it wasn't over. A woman like her wouldn't just run and hide. She'd try to fight back. She had resources, connections I wasn't fully aware of yet, and most of all, she had nothing left to lose. That made her dangerous. I burned the cabin down before leaving. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. It was never really a home, just another illusion in the life I had built with a woman who never truly loved me. Watching the flames consume it felt like setting fire to the past itself. By sunrise, I was back in the city, sitting in my safe house, a nondescript apartment rented under a false name. I poured a glass of whiskey and stared at my reflection in the window. She had played her hand. Now, it was time to see if she had anything left to gamble with. 3 days later, Olivia made her move. I had been tracking her through hacked traffic cameras, burner phone pings, and old contacts in the intelligence world. She was in Miami, meeting with someone I recognized instantly, Carlos Estevez, A cartel enforcer turned freelance fixer. I let them think they were one step ahead. I wanted to see how far she'd go. The answer? All the way. That night, I walked into a high-end hotel bar where I knew she'd be. Olivia was there, dressed in a black silk dress, the same one she wore on our honeymoon. Her attempt at nostalgia almost made me laugh. I slid into the seat across from her, watching the way her hands clenched around the stem of her wine glass. You didn't think I'd show up first, did you? Her lips curled into a bitter smile. I thought you'd be dead by now. You're not very good at choosing assassins, I said, leaning back. Victor was sloppy, so is Carlos. She tensed. You don't know anything about Carlos, I smirked. You're meeting him in an hour, room 1408. He's going to offer you an exit strategy. But what he's not telling you is that he already sold you out to someone higher up. Her expression faltered, and for the first time I saw it. Real fear. She had lost control of the game. I let her sit with that fear for a moment before I stood, adjusting my jacket. You tried to kill me, Olivia. Twice. That was your mistake. Her voice was softer now, uncertain. Are you going to kill me? I considered it. Really considered it. But there were fates worse than death. No, I said finally. But you're going to wish I did. I slid a phone across the table. On the screen was a single text message, sent from her personal number. Subject: urgent. Carlos Estevez cartel connection. Message: I have evidence linking Carlos Estevez to multiple assassinations and drug trafficking operations. I am willing to provide details in exchange for protection. She gasped. You... I leaned in close, whispering, Carlos is going to find out, and when he does, he's not going to believe it was me who sent it. I watched as the realization sank in, as the weight of her own impending doom settled over her shoulders. She wasn't being hunted by me anymore. She was being hunted by them. Without another word, I walked away, leaving her alone with the knowledge that, no matter where she ran, she would never escape the consequences of what she had done. I didn't look back. The hunt was over.